Hello and welcome to another episode of the Never a Straight Answer podcast, the podcast that aims to cover a wide range of topics from conspiracy theories to popular culture and news. I'm your host Gaz, and joining me in the studio, well, legend has it he dropped a Phil Collins style drum solo on Earth's eardrums, and it's just not been the same since. All I know is he's my co-host, Mr. Taylor.
Yeah, good evening everybody, welcome.
Good evening. Can you feel it coming in the air tonight, Taylor?
I can indeed.
I can feel it, and we've got an excellent show lined up.
We have indeed.
Thank you for joining us, whether you're a new listener or a repeat offender.
Keep repeating.
Welcome along. We've got an excellent episode this week. We've got a UFO story that is...
yeah.
Well, it can be interpreted in a few different ways.
Yeah.
We're going to be looking at it, and we've got a bit of extra information and kind of an adjoining conspiracy theory.
We have indeed.
Yeah. Well, this week's episode, we're going to be talking about the Bell Island boom. Yeah. It's a fascinating UFO incident that happened in Canada.
Yeah.
When was it? In the 80s?
70s.
70s, yeah. So basically, this is it's going to be a good show, I think. Plus, I think it kind of does link to a lot of other random stuff. That's going to be coming up a bit later on in the show.
True.
Oh my God, yeah, it's so hot.
Oh yeah,
so hot this week. We're melting here in the Never a Straight Answer bunker.
I'm sick of the weather at the minute.
It's weird, isn't it? Well, I mean, obviously, weather aside, I mean, it's climate change all the way. We've got a great we'll be living in a tropical paradise soon here in the UK.
No, I'm moving then.
Oh mate, obviously, it's like 30 degrees in the UK is like hell.
Yeah,
honestly.
oh, yeah.
Well, weather aside, like I say, we've got an excellent episode coming up your way this week with the Bell Island boom.
Yeah.
UFO incident.
What a boom.
Before we get into all that, though, you know, we just shoot the shit.
Yeah.
How have you been doing this week, Mr. Taylor?
Yeah, not too bad. Just been working my heart out and, you know, just...
Don't work too hard. You know what I mean? You make us all look bad. I know, it's true, you know isn't it? Yeah. It's rather work till you're dead or you're not going to eat, which is the shit.
That's it. Die early or die later.
Everybody's on in the same boat, I think, at the moment. But we don't want to bring you down.
No. Of course not.
It's all good.
No.
So you've just been working on excitingness. Every week I feel like I always say, what have you been up to? And you just go, just working.
I've been doing a lot of driving in Manchester, to be honest, and that's been a pain in the ass.
Why? What's been happening?
Well, the roadworks and that, the amount of roadworks that's been going on lately is,
you know why?
Like, stupid.
They're introducing cycle lanes everywhere, aren't they? They're trying to do a European-style cycle network.
And also putting cameras
through Manchester. Is that what it is as well, cameras?
Yeah,
I wouldn't expect that they would need to kind of disrupt things too much to put a camera up.
Well, yeah, because there's a new 6p tax that drivers are going to end up paying per
camera
mile.
tax?
Yeah, well, the cameras are going to be clocking people, and drivers are going to end up paying 6p a mile. The first year, anyway.
Sounds reasonable. I don't know why. I'm glad I don't drive sometimes.
Oh, yeah, I think I'm going to stop soon if it carries on the way it's going.
Ah, well. Well, I've not. I was going to say, because you don't ask, but, you know, like, I've just been doing bits and bobs, bits of jobs, you know, just working. I had an interesting shoot the other day.
Oh, yeah.
So I did a shoot with a musician for some album artwork stuff.
Oh, right.
That was interesting. I've had a few other bits going on. It's been a kind of an interesting week.
Bits and bobs, man.
Just a bit of a bits and bobs week, to be honest. Yeah, nothing too exciting.
Nothing major.
But I ended up having a dentist appointment, which kind of like didn't help me out too much. Well, no, it's weird though, because do you know when you go for a checkup or you've gone for an appointment, but you think, oh well, it's something or nothing. It's gonna just be like, I'll be in the chair for 5 minutes. Yeah. I'll be out of there.
Yeah.
Oh no, nothing like, oh mate. I was like, fucking, I did not expect that. No. Felt like I got tortured for 10 minutes. Well, about a good half hour. But other than that, I'm sweet. Honestly, it's been one of those weeks.
So have you fixed it then? Have they fixed it?
Half fixed. Right. It's all good. But, you know, I don't like the dentist. Do you know what I don't like about the dentist? The needle.
Oh, yeah, I hate needles.
I think that is the worst bit. Yeah. And whenever I think, like, they've got to give me the needle, to numb my face up or whatever for the treatment, I always kind of tense up. And I don't know it. And I kind of was told that about tensing up's not a good thing when you're taking an injection. Yeah. I mean, obviously, this is in your mouth, so it's a bit different. It's like, it's hard to tense your mouth. It's hard to tense your mouth.
Yeah, true.
You know what I mean? But it's like always kind of, my extremity fingers and toes end up getting like really tense. But
Yeah,
just because
I
you're just
always
expecting a needle in the face.
Yeah, I hate it. I
So
just
everybody
want to punch
feels
the person
sorry
in
for
the face
me.
who's
Yeah.
giving it me.
That's what I was wanting. Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway.
yeah. Just knock them out and tell them to get away.
Well, what are you going to
Yeah,
do?
need it sometimes.
Well, I'm not going to moan too much because we've got a great show coming up. And plus, also, I have a riddle for you, Mr. Taylor.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I'm on the catch-up at the minute.
You are on the catch-up, but I'm not sure you're going to get this one.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. I went out my way.
Oh, right,
I went out of my way to try and find you a riddle worthy, of this week's episode.
Right. Oh, that's great.
Well, I'm going to give it you now.
Go on then.
Right, give me a minute.
Give it me.
All right.
I want these points.
He wants his points. Right, okay. Don't forget, we got the Bell Island boom story coming up in a moment. But firstly, I'll give you your riddle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no, I won't.
Why not?
I'll give you your riddle in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Firstly, I wanted to say this episode's brought to you in part by Orange County CBD.
It certainly is.
It's a wellness supplement brand based in the UK. Orange County CBD is, CBD developed in California, but actually lab produced in the UK, which means it has the highest laboratory standards.
Yes.
Can't argue with that. It's a health supplement which helps with anxieties, can help with sleeping, helping you sleep better. Yeah, it does actually help with inflammation and stuff like that.
I was just advising someone yesterday about if they
I think it's a very good product actually.
Yeah.
And they do obviously the CBD oils, but they also do the CBD gummies, stuff like that.
Nice.
I think you can go over to the Orange County CBD website, which is orangecounty-cbd.com.
Yeah.
15% off all your orders.
Yes. Oh, yes. You've got to order it 15% off. It's cheap as chips.
Yeah, 15% off. All you got to do is use the code NASAPOD at the checkout. And there you go, 15% off. Plus, orders over £25 free delivery.
Oh, that's even better.
So there you go.
Even better.
So, fulfilled my obligations now. I can give you a riddle.
Oh, right. Riddle with this.
So the riddles stand at the moment of a score of 5 versus 2.
3.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I went over. I'm pretty convinced. I don't know.
5-3 because I even wrote it down.
I know. I've written it down as well. Yeah, and listened back. So yeah. Anyway, all right. We'll say 3. Yeah, for the time being. But I don't think that. I think the people at home they are going. You guys are so unorganised. It's untrue.
You're ahead anyway.
I'm ahead. Well, I want to stay that way, and this is why I've gone out of my way
to
find you a riddle here.
Well,
so
it's a good one then.
Your riddle this week, Mr. Taylor, yeah? If you get it at home, you're an absolute legend, right, yeah? So, you see a boat on the ocean.
Yeah.
Filled with people.
Right.
It's not sunk, yeah? But when you look again, you don't see a single person on the boat. Why?
So you've got a boat in the ocean with people on there?
Yep. So you see a boat filled with people. It's not sunk, but when you look again at the boat, you don't see a single person. Why?
Because they're all in the cabin?
No, just a boat.
Just an ordinary boat on the sea?
Yep.
Mirage?
Nope.
I'll
give it you one more time before we...
ship?
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's not the Mary Celeste, but you see a boat filled with people. It's not sunk, but when you look again, you don't see a single person on the boat.
Oh, that's... And is it a ship in a bottle?
Nope. Right, I'm not going to give you any clues, right? Yeah, you'd rather get it or you don't, because, this. I told you, I went out of my way.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to have to think about this one.
Well, you have a think about it. Should we crack on? What else have we got to talk about? I mean, at the end of the day. I feel like we're very lacking today, I think. Well, anyway.
Well, we haven't had sleep.
I've not slept this week at all with the heat. Here. The weather's been so grim. Like I said, right. So basically, I seen a video this morning of, I think it was like an expat or somebody who's moved to the UK or emigrated to the UK. Why you do that, I don't know. But you've emigrated to the UK from somewhere like Australia or sunny, somewhere nice, and basically they were saying, you see hear people going on the train like, oh, if it's 27 degrees, don't forget to wear a hat and don't forget your sunscreen and don't take the dog walking in this weather. They'll overheat. And this woman's like, this is ridiculous. I'm from a part of the world that's like well hotter than this. I love the heat. Yeah. But she basically issued an apology, to the people of the UK. All right. Because basically it is a different heat. It's totally different. Yeah. It's not the same. And basically here in the UK, when it hits 30 degrees, it is like hell. Yeah. Yeah. It's just uncomfortable. No one sleeps. It's just like grotty. It's so humid. Yeah. I like a bit of humidity, but this is too much, isn't it, sometimes?
Oh, yeah.
Well, totally. So the weather aside, I'm hoping it's going to cool down a little bit, which it has. It's dropped a little, but still warm. Anyway.
Oh, yeah, it certainly is.
Well, let's get on with the show anyway. This week's episode, like I say, we're talking about the Bell Island boom, which is a UFO incident and a mysterious encounter, it's got to be said. The Bell Island boom was a UFO incident that basically sparked off wide debate around the community as well as UFO experts. The incident happened on the 5th of April 1978 on Bell Island in Canada. The event basically looked like it was a UFO incident. Yeah, it had all the classic hallmarks of a UFO incident. Yeah. But it did spark a lot of discussion and debate about what exactly happened there. Was it a UFO, a flying saucer? Mm-hmm. Was it something a bit more kind of earthly, like a weather incident or some sort of it could have been a lot of different things. There was a lot of different things that was coming out.
There's a lot of theories that went round at the time and still now.
Well, it did actually have quite a lot of eyewitness testimonies and a witness account. And obviously, they were very out there in terms of what people were saying had happened, right? So it did have the kind of classic extraterrestrial encounter tropes surrounding it, didn't it?
Yeah. It had parts that you could put as UFO. But it also had parts for like weather, and also is someone playing around with technology.
That is a natural good theory. That. Yeah. Well, we'll be going into all the theories in a mo. The mysterious lights and explosion, right? So the idea of the boom, right, is the fact that there was a big explosion on the island. Yeah. On the day in 1978, residents of the Bell Island. Started, the day normally, but ended up with a series of strange events, unexplained events, unexplained lights illuminating the sky, followed by a loud explosive sound that reverberated across the island up to 10 miles away. There was noises where, people were kind of like, what the hell's that? It was crackling noises, weird noises.
Vibrations as well.
Powerful enough to... This boom, though, was powerful enough to shake houses and even break windows. Witnesses describe the lights as brightly colourful, moving through the sky, and even kind of interacting with the local area. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And the locals, actually, because there was an eyewitness. We'll get into the eyewitness accounts in a moment, but there was a couple of people who saw weird stuff very closely. And, but it was the fact that it baffled everybody. There was, kind of weird. There was no explanation for it straight away. So, going into the eyewitness testimonies, numerous eyewitnesses came forward reporting the loud explosion, strange lights in the sky, objects hovering in the sky, dazzling lights emerging and then seemingly disappearing. There was people who claimed that, it could have been a natural sort of occurrence, or it, again, could be UFOs. These orbs, or these glowing light balls, or whatever they were actually kind of hovering around the surrounding areas before suddenly disappearing.
Yeah, it's kind of like ball lightning, which I think the last one I heard in Britain was in Birmingham, where a ball of lightning went into someone's house and hovered around and then flirted out, and that was it. It's gone.
Well, explain for anyone who doesn't know what ball lightning is. I mean, ball lightning sounds pretty crazy in itself.
Yeah. What it's on.
No, but I mean, it's the fact that you just said it came down, went into somebody's house, hovered around for a bit, and then disappeared.
Yeah, it was sort of like.
So is this atmospheric?
Yeah, supposedly, yeah.
So it's definitely got to be atmospheric. It's got to be able to consistently kind of sustain itself in thin air, essentially.
Yeah.
Right? Now, lightning and electricity, I mean, doesn't really operate like that, does it? It tries to find the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
You know, and generally, if it's a human being or a tree or a lightning rod, it'll strike one of those things.
Yeah.
It generally doesn't just hover around a bit until it's... And why does it not strike at metal objects when it's just having a hover around? You know what I mean? That kind of interests me. I just don't understand why.
It does interfere with the electricity around.
But so would a UFO.
Well, yeah.
I'd say.
Like you were saying, it's like this ball, but it's questionable on how come it stays that structure as a ball for, let's say, even if it was for 2-3 seconds or whatever, it shouldn't be able to keep that structure.
Yeah, exactly. Keep that form and hover in one place.
Yeah. So
well, there was actually one of the eyewitnesses who did actually come across one of these balls or orbs. It was a young lad who was out cycling around, wasn't he? He was just out on his bike. What was he called?
Danny Bickford.
So Danny, he's basically like come across this glowing orb, which he said was like brightly coloured. They was like swirling around, floating over the water, coming back, you know, interacting with its environment.
Yeah.
And this kid's like never seen anything like this in his life. He's just stood in amazement watching this phenomenon happen in front of him.
Yeah.
So, you know...
Well, his statement...
he's never changed his story.
No.
I mean, the guy's, like, quite getting on a bit now. And, like, in terms of, like, you know, the story's never changed. He's always maintained that he saw what he saw, and that's it. It's like, why would he change his story? Because that's the truth as far as he's concerned. So, you know...
Yeah, he said it was like a shotgun blast, followed by a ball of lightning, followed immediately after a second ball of lightning, and the ground shook underneath him, and it's the biggest and loudest noise he's ever heard in his life. Mind you,
well, like I say,
he's not that old, is he?
That boom, it travelled 10 miles. People were reporting the sound way off into the distance. I mean, it must have been like one of the loudest booms. I mean, let's look at it like in terms of wordplay. Yeah, you've got a bang, and a boom, A bang's loud, but a boom's louder. Do you know what I mean? Like, so, I mean, would you think that a boom would actually be like the correct terminology for this, or would you just not call it an explosion?
Well, if you think about it, in fact, his mother turned round and stated that it wasn't lightning, it was an explosion. But you've got to consider a boom is the vibration of the air going at a fast pace, and an explosion is sort of the same thing, but within a smaller dynamic of an area.
Ah, right, okay. Yeah. So, like, we'll get into that in a minute, actually. Yeah. But, I mean, like, in terms of the power of this explosion or boom, it actually was strong enough to break windows.
Oh, yeah.
It was knocking down fences, damaging properties.
Yeah.
It wasn't just like a sound in the atmosphere or in the air. It was a strong, powerful...
But it's
impact basically.
But witnesses did say there was a sort of humming vibration before it actually turned up. So it's kind of like...
Well, that kind of makes me think electricity.
That also makes me think more it's electricity as well, to be honest, than a UFO, because within a UFO, you do get that vibration thing, but it would be only in the local area where it was at, not like 10 miles across or anything like that.
So basically, like people were testifying to this hum as well, like miles out of the town. Was there any other eyewitnesses that kind of that piqued your interest?
There was actually Miller Jensen, who stated that they believe they from afar they seen like a like a lightning strike, but more like a laser strike that hit the ground over in the island.
Right, okay. That's interesting. So there was quite a lot. I mean, there was a lot of people on the island who had experiences. They saw one thing or another. But the general census was they all heard the boom, right? They all saw the damage. The
there
damage,
was a lot of evidence.
The damage was actually so severe that there was even some animals that had died during the incident. And we'll get into that in a little minute because like it kind of does open up a few questions that because again we're saying it could be electricity, it could be lightning, it could be a UFO, right?
Yeah.
There'd be evidence to suggest one or all three.
Yeah.
But there's also evidence to rule things out. So we'll be getting into that in a moment. But in terms of being an interesting story, the governments also found it very interesting and very intriguing because they launched a government investigation.
They did, yeah.
In the wake of the incident, the Canadian government launched its own investigation on the strange occurrences on Bell Island. But experts from various fields, including geology, meteorology, and a few others, were called in to examine the evidence and provide a plausible explanation for what's just been going on this island. While some suggested that it might have been caused by a natural phenomenon such as lightning or electrical discharge, others do still remain that it's an unsolved mystery and, you know, it has some links to extraterrestrial activity.
Yeah, or someone else.
Now, this is where it starts getting quite interesting, right? Because obviously it's happened in Canada, right? The government of Canada are perfectly well within their rights to launch an investigation to try and find out what's gone on their soil.
It's their job.
Yeah, it's their job, exactly, right? So you'd find it interesting if other governments suddenly became interested in this as well. Now, we've just been kind of reading a story, actually, in terms of what Canada, you know, and the United States, they kind of have a joint operation when it comes to ufology, right? Yeah. So these in the news at the moment. There's been a note slipped to Trudeau, regarding these weather balloons that have been going over Canada, right?
That's right.
This is an American investigation over Canadian soil, right? Yeah. So why they've had to investigate this and be involved is again beyond me.
They might have been asked, or they might have been forced to.
Well, maybe, but
they might be contracted to.
Why would you think then? Two agents from New Mexico,
Los
Alamos, turned up on the island, asking questions.
Well, Los Alamos is a very questionable area for bases and UFOs.
Exactly, right. So what interest would they have unless they just heard that it could have been a possible UFO incident and they were interested?
Well, supposedly they had seen it. They were interested because they had seen images of a satellite failure. Satellite where there was an image of like an explosion there, because a couple of weeks beforehand or a couple of months beforehand, it's this kind of stuff was happening near the east coast of America, but then the investigation suggested that it was actually Concorde.
Yeah, actually, the sonic boom off Concorde, more specifically.
Airplanes, the military planes.
They had a look into this, and they were saying, well, generally the Concorde, when it flew, did create sonic booms, but it mainly flew across water. It didn't ever really kind of go across land because it was too disruptive.
And they would have felt the effects on which they didn't want it to happen.
So
anyway.
Basically, they would generally fly it over oceans, right? The Concorde, but there were certain times when weather situations were out of their control where they would have to divert the plane.
That's right.
Yeah, across land. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Now, randomly, this area of Canada or Nova Scotia, Alaska, wherever this island, was kind of close to this altered flight path. Now, whether a Concorde was actually flying or not, it could have been, right? But looking into it, there was no deviations in the flights that day. As far as I know.
And not only that, if that was the case that the Concorde was going over, let's say it went over once every 2 weeks, then we'd be getting reports once every 2 weeks. What's this? Bang. So there's no correlation to it.
Yeah, it was a one-off occurrence, wasn't it? Really, in the 70s. I mean, if anything happened again, it wasn't for a long time afterwards. Yeah. Now, it kind of comes up with a few interesting points there, such as like the experts that were sent in to launch the investigation came up with, one geologist or meteorologist even came out with, this is a classic case of a lightning strike. Yeah. Right? He said, I've seen this before. It's a lightning strike. Oh, nothing to worry about. Yeah. Yeah. But this just didn't seem like a plausible thing. The lightning strikes all the time. Why would this lightning strike be so disruptive and cause so much damage and be so loud? And, what's with the balls of light and all the rest of it? Yeah, there's just too many variables to think this is just a standard lightning storm or a lightning strike. Yeah. The expert involved basically said, well, there's kind of a couple of types of lightning. Yeah. Most lightning that strikes is negatively charged. That's lightning, right? Yeah. So
actually, most lightning goes up. It doesn't actually come down.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Well, you sound like one of those like crazy facts in a pub. It's well, my intestines could stretch miles. Like
around the world twice.
Around the world twice. But basically, the lightning. It's kind of like quite observed. We've observed lightning so many times. We know what lightning does. We know how it behaves. We know what the damage could be caused by lightning.
Well, I suppose we do, but within stuff like that anyway, we need to learn more, and we learn more every generation.
Well, I learned something new. Yeah. Because lightning, negatively charged, is how lightning usually comes. Yeah. But there is a version of lightning called super lightning. That's right. Which is positively charged. Yeah. Right?
It's 1,000 times stronger.
This lightning can actually jump from cloud to cloud, right? So you could hear massive cracks and booms as the lightning jumps from cloud to cloud, gaining, current and gaining power. Until it finally strikes, right? Yeah. Now, when any of these incidents of super lightning does strike, generally hears a lot of damage and a lot of devastation. Yeah. So going back to the damage that was caused on the island, we mentioned earlier about the chickens and the animals that were potentially killed by this boom. Yeah. Now, you raised an interesting point to me earlier because I was saying, well, animals on the ground, a lightning strike happens. That's consistent with what would happen with a lightning strike. That's right, yeah. But you said, well, there was no charring. There was no kind of evidence to suggest there was an entry point or an exit point.
Yeah, it seems like something like, the old story of blowing a house down. And it seems to be...
I'll huff and I'll puff.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It literally, sheds were blowing up for no reason, with no scorch marks at all, which is very interesting on that alone. And then you've got, the dead chickens that had no scorch marks, but blood was coming out of their mouths and their eyes. So, in a kind of way, it seems like a pressure wave than it is an actual electric wave.
Well, maybe that was. I mean, obviously, maybe it's hit and the pressure wave from that strike.
Where was the area that the whatever hit the ground?
Well, we'll get into that in a moment because one thing I will mention is in terms of damage, there was quite a lot of different things happening. So there was barns being blown over, there was TVs exploding, fuses flying out of electronical devices like bullets.
Which, if you think about it, we didn't have that many then back.
Well, it would have been a bit primitive as well, wouldn't it? It wouldn't have been like the modern sort of technology we have today. It's like tube-based.
Yeah, that's true.
So a current goes through it, those tubes explode. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? That seems standard to me. So again, it all does looked like lightning at this point. Yeah. Right. I'm not going to dismiss the alien thing just yet, but. I mean, logically speaking, it sounds like a case of super lightning, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Now, it's these electrical discharges, these these energy balls that kind of get me. The fact that they were moving around independently, kind of observing and kind of interacting with the local environment. Yeah, that does not sound like how lightning behaves, really. I mean, I've not seen too much natural phenomenon like that. Not even on documentaries. I've never seen Richard Attenborough, David Attenborough going like,
Oh, no, because these are kind of rare events, but I have seen over the years a couple of them.
Two balls of light mating.
That actually happen. To me, it has happened somewhere else. It hasn't done as much damage, but the thing is, it does always leave scorch marks.
Right, okay. So, there were actually 3 scorch craters. Yeah.
In the snow, yeah.
So these were kind of discovered a little later on. Yeah. They were these huge kind of like scorched, like basically like a meteor crater. Yeah.
Yeah, well, there was like one small one which was like a rabbit hole, and then you had 2 that was 4 feet wide. So that's not exactly, a normal digging hole.
Now think about how lightning behaves though in forking. Yeah, right. So it might have been a fork hit, like especially if it's a super bolt. Yeah, and that's created these 3 indentations or whatever.
I would have thought a lot more damage than that.
You could also think it might be just a little 3-wheel spaceship that's landed and it caused an indentation.
That is true.
One thing that came up, right, that some of the theorists came up with, regarding this case, is the idea that it might not be UFOs, it might not be lightning, it could actually be some form of weapon. Yeah. Whether that be a space laser in terms of like, the
experiments that scientists
kind of like the Star Wars program, stuff like that. Yeah. They're basically trying to use satellites to kind of like have a presence in space which is overlooking the planet. We can use this laser if we need to. Now the funny thing is, obviously, with the things that have been going on in Hawaii recently, there's a lot of people claiming the same thing. They're saying this was a incident that was there was no warning. It just came out of nowhere. There was no kind of like warnings about high temperatures or anything like that. It was a fire that came out of nowhere, sparked off a load of damage, and has decimated a town, right?
Yeah.
Now,
much so.
In terms of kind of development of a weapon like that, potentially like, it was this on Bell Island might have been a test of something like that, and it was just an actual accident. You know what I mean? Like it was,
or was it?
Oh, was it? Yeah, but at the end of the day, it kind of does have those sort of traits.
Yeah,
right?
Totally.
Now, even looking at what's going on in Hawaii at the moment, which is quite interesting because, I mean, if you've not looked into it at the minute...
information coming through at the moment, isn't
there's a lot of people who believe that it was some sort of weapon that was used against them, right? So it kind of does correlate with what's being said on this island, right? Yeah.
True.
And especially the late 70s, early 80s, when they were actually developing, or supposedly actually developing this sort of technology.
We had HARP as well. We had the weather manipulation machine.
Well,
HARP.
they kind of say that it kind of stems from Tesla, because Tesla was developing technology that was able to utilize atmospheric electricity, and harness it into some sort of energy field or energy beam or
even
something.
A weapon, as he nearly made a weapon.
Well, he did, didn't he? He nearly made a weapon out of it. But that's interesting because in terms of Tesla's experiments with electricity, there was plasma balls, there was these type of things. I mean, so to have that also be happening on this island when this lightning strike happens, if it was a lightning strike, kind of makes me think, well, is there something more to this? I mean, in terms of like whether it's a UFO or a lightning, I think the weapon angle has quite a lot of kind of it screams out that you've got these, all the elements are there, if you like.
We have a Dr. William Don, who was the chief
astrophysicist.
Astrophysicist. I don't know why I can't say it.
He was an astrophysicist.
Scientist. Who he actually
dumb it down. He was a scientist.
Chief scientist, and he actually turned around and checked it out himself, and he investigated, and he believes that at that time, at any of the times that these booms had happened, there was no real change in the environment around there. So that makes you more likely to think that it was probably either a UFO, which I don't really think it was myself. I think it was more likely to be a weapon.
Right, okay. It's interesting, isn't it? I mean, it was one of those where it's like, at the moment, we've got 3 possibilities. Yeah, right. I think we'll probably come to some sort of conclusion towards the end.
Yeah.
One of the potential hypotheses was the UFO. Like I said, the UFO hypothesis has definitely gained traction amongst those who believe that the Bell Island boom was a result of another alien encounter. But with unidentified flying objects, kind of being a hot topic at the moment, I think most people would like to think it was a UFO.
I've just thought of another one. It could be a USO.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Unidentified submerged object.
Well, yeah, because it was quite close to the water as well, where, like, obviously this young lad who's seen this ball of energy said that it was interacting with above the water. So it could have something to do with something submerged. Now, I don't want to go into too many different theories because I'm obviously just jumping around with, like, randomness. But the idea that, that it could have been an extraterrestrial, lights and explosions, not easily explained, but obviously it's a controversial topic.
Oh, yeah.
People kind of, like, say, we've come up with 3 theories already, and I mean, like, there's
going to be
believers,
more,
there's going to be people who've got more evidence to say that this is, more fact than that.
Yeah,
there's going to be a lot of arguing and a lot of infighting with that.
I found that a lot of people on the island didn't believe it was lightning because it was more of an explosion and because of the slight vibration before.
Now, have there ever been other UFO encounters that have had similar things, such as explosions, or... Because I normally find them quite stealthy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? UFOs aren't very normally drawing attention to themselves.
Sneaky, aren't they?
They're
very
sneaky.
Come up to you, have a little peek, then fuck.
They'll be dancing around in front of you and then making a big loud bang on the way out, unless we've found the clumsiest alien around.
Unless could they've been shot.
Maybe shot down
from maybe a space satellite, a laser satellite.
Well, ufologists will just continue to argue that the incident had the classic examples of a UFO encounter of the third kind, where witnesses had obviously observed not only UFOs, but the possible interaction with its local environment.
So technically, it is an unidentified flying object because we can't guarantee that it was just electricity in this ball, and you can't guarantee that it isn't. You know what I mean? It's
well, as somebody who kind of, like, we've read up a lot about UFO stuff, right? Yeah. So the UFO stuff, like we just said there, they're usually quite stealthy. They're usually quite incognito. They don't want to be seen. We've talked about, like, how when technology is used, it's usually kind of, like, disabled, so you can't get pictures of them. And
it's unidentified, isn't it, really? So if it is unidentified, technically it is a UFO.
Well, 100%. Yeah. But what I'm getting at is the idea that you've got this large strike that is kind of, and as well as the boom, as well as this, as well as that. Yeah. There's a lot of kind of variables that don't add up to the UFO, right? Yeah. I feel like ruling the UFO out at this point is probably a good move, because I find, like, even though it does have the hallmarks of a lot of kind of UFO topics, there's a lot that kind of go against it as well.
Totally.
Yeah. There's a lot of kind of external things happening.
Extra stuff there that shouldn't have nothing to do with it. UFOs,
yeah. So I mean, in terms of the ball light and all the rest of it, you could argue that was UFO.
Yeah.
But the main strike, the boom, all the damage, everything else, it doesn't seem to correlate with that. Yeah. No. Unless they were the ones who used a big weapon on us and we ended up shooting them down. I don't know. Yeah, we're all speculating at the moment.
We've always used little places to see what would actually happen, you know.
Oh, yeah,
exactly. And an island is a perfect spot for, like,
low population.
Kind of stuff. Plus you've got
out of the way.
Yeah, and you've only got a certain distance, so you can measure a lot of things around it as well.
Of course, yeah. So if you hit the middle of the center of the island, and then those vibrations come off. They're only going into the ocean. You're not damaging any other land that you
Plus
didn't
you
mean
can
to.
tell how far it's gone out. I mean, we don't know. It hasn't been specified, but there could have been ships out there, like, measuring stuff out there already. But it hasn't been mentioned in.
Well, that'd be military, and they wouldn't mention it. So
But then why is the military going in there to have a look at it? That's another question.
Why is so many different agencies going in to have a look? Because obviously it did spark interest at what the hell went on there. Obviously, it became a landmark case for the local community and drawn attention to the place as a UFO hotspot. Yeah. And it kind of attracted UFO researchers worldwide to the area, which has got to have done some sort of good for the community and the prosperity of the place.
On the map, innit? And it's really keeping the story open as well until we actually come to a conclusion to what it actually is or was.
Well, just before I get into the conclusion, I did forget to mention this, because I found that going back to the Hawaii thing, right? I did actually find out a little bit of information about Biden. Right?
Oh, yeah.
So apparently Biden hired, a crisis officer, like one of the best crisis officers or crisis workers in the business, to be there in Hawaii, boots on the ground, You'd think the day it happened, No, a week before.
Which is very, very...
This is suspicious, It's a week before the incident was even known to even going to happen. It was total accident by the sounds of it.
Sounds like a 9/11 to me.
It sounds like a bit of an inside job, doesn't it? But apparently, And then you had The Rock and Oprah Winfrey.
Yeah,
they ground my gears a bit. Well, anyway, conclusion. The Bell Island boom, a UFO incident stands as one of the most compelling mysteries in the area. And... Canadian history. The strange lights, explosive sounds that gripped the Bell Island on April 1978 continue to captivate the imagination, and obviously it's one of those that it could be an otherworldly encounter, it could be something more nefarious, or it could just be a natural weather phenomenon.
And you got to also include that the actual island has copper and iron mines as well, so you could get extra vibrations underneath.
Also, highly conductive.
Yeah, exactly. So
I mean, while debates about the nature of the incident persist, the legacy endures. People kind of still talk about it like we are, but. Let's get down to it now. What do you honestly believe this could be?
Myself,
personally,
I think it's more chance to be a weapon, and another reason why is because actually in 2019, a part of the island actually collapsed,
fell off into the sea, didn't it?
So a weapon would make more of a vibration than it would.
So you're saying that the impact of that damaged the land to a point where it weakened it to a point where it had collapsed.
It took its time, but it has collapsed, and I don't think if lightning would have hit it and it would have done it wouldn't. I can't see it being that much
as destructive. Like we've talked about lightning a lot, and we kind of understand that it has a devastating kind of effect if it hits. It can cause fires, it can cause damage to property. The severity of it is, varying. Like you could get struck by lightning and survive, or you could get struck by lightning and just be fried to a crisp. It all depends
think it could be?
on the charge of the lightning, I suppose. Well, I'm torn between the super lightning and the potential of a weapon. Now, my logical mind's basically saying it's probably lightning or some sort of,
effect that we've done.
Well, not necessarily what we've done, but maybe like a atmospheric conditions, just a freak occurrence.
Well, we're still learning, aren't we? We're still learning about our planet and our atmosphere and all the little bits of elements, and new things every day are coming up.
But a conspiracy mind is kind of pointing more at the space weapon. And especially knowing that we do, like, this is the interesting thing about these types of things. In terms of technology, nothing's off the table, right? we had conspiracies about HARP.
Yeah.
Then we were, oh no, there is no such thing as weather manipulation.
Yeah,
We don't do
shut
that.
Down in 1990,
that is totally a thing. Yeah, they do
It's
weather
out.
manipulation. They're always using
At
weather
least
manipulation.
10 countries are doing it now.
Now, how do you think that affects our globe or anything like that?
Well,
you know,
yeah, I
like
mean,
our climate. It's obviously got to have some sort of effect because it's a natural order to things, yeah. You start shifting about and messing with things.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if you did start seeing more anomalies, yeah, in terms of, like, freak weather conditions.
aren't we?
Because it's got to go somewhere.
Yeah, yeah.
You're not just
all
dissipating
interconnection.
storms. You're just shifting them along.
Yeah, which will affect the other side, and then it will affect another part of the world, and then that will keep transferring.
So whether
all
that's
around.
kind of like, you know, and I don't mean it as like, oh, it's weather machines that is manipulating the atmosphere and making these kind of crazy things happen. But what I'm getting at is, in terms of the technology, they said that this didn't exist, right?
Yeah.
And then it comes out that it probably does, and it's widely used, right?
Yeah.
So the idea of some sort of satellite laser missile fucking defense system, isn't too far out of the realms of possibility. No. And it's totally the sort of thing that a government would do.
Don't forget,
let's face it.
Vietnam War wasn't far gone from there, from that time, and not only that they were manipulating the weather over there, which brought acid rain and grease apparently onto the ground. And then after that operation had finished, supposedly they started looking more into it, and then the government basically closed it down to, we're not looking into it, we're not bothering with any of that kind of thing. Yet you've got the 10 countries today who are actually using these kind of technologies to try and help. So there was a lot of lying going on as well.
Well, it's an interesting one, and it does kind of raise debate.
And don't forget the 2 guys from Los Alamos as well, who turned up a week beforehand.
Oh, right. So they turned up a week beforehand and then after?
Yeah, they believed that they knew that something was going to happen, but they didn't exactly know where, but they roughly knew where, roughly. So that makes me think even more that it was...
it's a head scratcher, I'm not going to lie. I wonder what you guys think at home. I mean, based on the information presented, I mean, what would you suggest? What would you say it was? Would you say it was some sort of crazy space laser weapon? Was it just as simple as a bit of crazy weather? Or was it an alien, a UFO? I don't know. I'm still
something else? Was it even if anyone thinks that is something that we ain't even
considered? Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, if you've got any information or you would like to make a comment, you know what to do. Drop us a comment or drop us an email at neverstraightanswer@outlook.com. Or check out social media. You know what to do. It's an interesting story. I'd like to know what people think about this one. I'm perplexed, man. It's one of those, man. It's proper burnt my head out.
But like you said, I think there's only 2 to maybe 3 options there, and I think it's more likely to be a weapon.
Well, when you rule out all of the nonsense, whatever's left is probably going to be the answer, isn't it? So I mean, like, based on that, I'm going to say it's probably the lightning, but. You know, that's logical, Gaz speaking. Yeah. My conspiracy brain still wants to kind of believe that there's something weird going on.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, don't forget as well, even now today, we're all around the world, we're hearing booms.
Boom, boom, boom,
all
boom.
over the world.
I want you in my room.
And we still got no answer for them.
Well, we could
it could be a technology that we keep using.
Get into that now, but we're not going to because that's a very long-winded thing. Yeah. Anyway, right. Well, moving on. Well, thankfully we've got the news coming up. Right about. Oh wait, no, not the news.
No.
Yeah, no, we've got the riddle. So we've got to kind of recap you with the riddle. Actually, Hope you've not been cheating.
No, I've had no. I've just sat here, I haven't gone anywhere, and no computers in front of me.
Right, okay, no problem. Right, so this week's riddle, just as a recap, are you ready? Mm-hmm. So, you see a boat filled with people, and it's not sunk, but when you look again, you don't see a single person on the boat. Why?
Is it at the bottom of the ocean?
No. I can give you one more guess.
There's
people shouting it out at home.
Probably.
Probably.
Or probably not.
Well, like I say, it is a pretty difficult one, this one.
Yeah. I can't really think of anything else.
Well, do you want me to give you the answer?
Go on then.
Right, so see, he's losing a point. Yeah. Well, you see a boat filled with people. It's not sunk, but when you look again, you don't see a single person. Why? The answer is because all the people are married.
Oh, you fuck off! I was trying to work it out each word apart from the end. It was like I was looking at the beginning, going like, right, a boat, right, sweet people, and then single people or no people. It was like,
yeah, single people. There's no single people. They were all married.
Oh, you.
Well, riddles like this are tricky because he seems to be straightforward and logical thinking,
reminds
but
me
obviously
back at
it's
school
not.
when they ask you the questions and your exams, and it's the
so
single
obvious.
word,
yeah,
that changes everything.
Well, did you get that at home? It was a tricky one this week. You know, which we've all to play for in this. There's no can't pull no punches.
Okay,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I can't catch up. Well, we're doing it up till 10. We
can do it till you can catch up if you want.
Yeah, all right then. Yeah, 100 years time.
100. Gaz, 9,529 points to 2.
yeah. Oh no, to 3.
Oh,
still.
3. All right, I'll let you have that point now.
All right. Yeah, you will. Yeah.
Well, anyway, moving on. We've got some news, so let's crack on with that.
Yeah.
It's the news. Indeed, it is. It's the newsiest news. We found the news. We spent a whole 20 minutes looking. So you can guarantee it's top notch.
It is.
Yeah, and probably actually from reputable news sources. Yeah. We are a reputable news source. What am I talking about?
Yeah.
My first news story tonight, I found this probably one of the best stories I've seen in a long time, I've got to be honest.
Okay.
It's a story that's gone viral. You might have heard about the four-legged fan of Metallica.
Oh,
so
no.
this is an actual story about a canine, a dog, that had snuck into a Metallica concert.
Lucky bugger.
Well, yeah. So after basically, it was a few days of outrage on social media as dog owners were kind of furious at the fact that somebody might have dumped a poor dog. It was a German Shepherd.
Oh, right. Yeah. I thought you were going to say because the dog actually got into the concert.
Well, no, because there was a dog at the concert. People thought it was abandoned.
Yeah.
So there was uproar on social media and people kind of frustrated with the fact that why would somebody do this and leave an animal at a concert?
Yeah.
The pup was at the SoFi Metallica gig. Yeah. Just chilling, loving a bit of Metallica.
Likes a bit of rock and
roll. It does,
then.
right? So basically, Metallica had issued a statement just to put all this kind of like animosity aside, because you might have heard about this in the news, but basically they've managed to find out what's gone on now, right? So Metallica have issued a tweet basically saying that the dog, despite reports of to the contrary that this dog was kind of abandoned, the friend Storm, which is the dog's name, snuck out of its home, to attend the concert of its own free will, of her own free will.
How did it hear about the concert?
That's I don't know. Must have read about it. Must have seen something on the net or whatever. But
TV.
But yeah, it basically snuck in, spent the full night at with the Metallica boys, and was returned safely home the next day. I just thought that was brilliant. Yeah. Storm, what a Storm, man. Do you know what I mean? Like Storm, there's a photo of Storm chilling in one of the seats
in Metallica,
watching a Metallica gig. Yeah.
Then
isn't it such a good story? So the four-legged fan had a great time listening to its favourite songs, including like Master of Puppets, a couple of others. But yeah, in case anyone was wondering, it definitely did not get abandoned, and it's been safely returned home. So Storm's loving life. and probably waiting for the next tour.
Yeah, you better put a leash on it.
It likes a bit of metal. What can I say?
Actually go down there with
Who
him.
doesn't like
Enjoy
a bit of Metallica every now and again?
Oh,
But there's a nice little story to kick off the news.
It is.
Have you got anything you've seen?
It has been now from the 8th of September, a year now since the boss has died.
I know, I saw that actually. Yeah, I mean the anniversary of the Queen's death. It feels like a lot longer. It feels no, it doesn't feel like a lot longer. It feels like it only happened yesterday.
Yeah,
and I think that's because with all the coronation stuff, it's kind of like one of the most drawn out. Deaths I've ever been kind of like, anything that I've ever seen in my life. Because it was obviously the whole kind of the passing away, and then there was all the queuing up to pay respects, and then there was all the memorial services, and then there was the coronation, and then all those services.
It's a lot of work.
It seemed like a lot of kind of prep and a lot of kind of things going into like the death of the Queen.
Well, how do you think Charles has been?
I don't really know what Charles has been doing, to be honest. I feel like in terms of like his kingly duties, I don't know exactly what he's been doing the last year. Probably just settling in, finding his feet.
I know he's been to Wales, Scotland. He's been doing little bits here and there, but to be honest, he's no Queenie, you know what I mean?
No one will be the Queen, will there? The Queen. I mean, this is the thing, the Queen. So in the future, you might get kids today, who see him as the king. Because he was like, he's been there their entire life.
Yeah, that's true.
For us, the Queen was a fixture of the UK. She was there from my day one. She
was the governor,
and she had always been the Queen. Right.
And everyone's loved her.
For us, King Charles isn't our king. A lot of people might say that, you know what I mean? Like,
I've said it a few
for
times.
future generations, depending on how long he actually retains the throne, some people might see it that way. Some royalists might see him as that now. Yeah.
Do you think it'd be more wise and more people will appreciate him if he stood down, let's say in a couple of years, and then put his son? One of his sons into the position?
It's an interesting one because I'm not sure how this is going to go. Right. We actually did a story. About the potential of Prince Charles or King Charles having a secret daughter.
Oh yes.
Now, the mother of that secret daughter, unless I'm mistaken, was Camilla. Yeah.
Yes.
Now, if this is true, and Camilla's now queen. Yeah,
I still put her as Queen Consort.
I would as well, but she's now officially the queen, right? So, would that suggest that if this secret daughter...
Oh, are you trying to say that the next person who will take his position will be the daughter?
Potentially.
Oh, that would be very
Well, if she's older than William, then she'd be next in line for the throne.
Well,
and especially if her mother's the legitimate queen. Do you know what I mean? Because...
When it was before Diana that them two already knew each other.
That's correct.
She was married.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then apparently, like, there was rumours that he'd kind of like fathered a child with her, and potentially she could be actually the next heir to the throne. I mean, I don't know.
That would be a twist in.
That would be a fucking twist, wouldn't it? I mean, but to be fair, I mean, like,
would the public take it though?
Again, it's an unknown, isn't it?
I really think they won't. I really think because I don't.
Who is this?
I don't think they like Camilla as much as any of the other others.
Well, it'd shift the Windsor line, wouldn't it? It'd shift it. It'd obviously take the royal family in a totally different direction.
It might even collapse the royal family. It possibly could.
Interesting one. Obviously, go back and listen to that episode, guys. I can't remember which episode it was, but
it wasn't that long.
Prince Charles's secret daughter. I think we definitely did do an episode on it.
Yeah, definitely.
Remember we was talking a couple of weeks ago about science and how kind of like scientists had been able to be able to pull a song out of somebody's head using like electrical signals and neurons and stuff like that. I kind of was like, oh, that's really cool, but then thinking about the ethical implications and the technological implications of that and the abuse that they could do with it, right? I found this story, right, which is a similar thing, but not quite, right? So basically, This is a story about a Terminator model. Yeah, right. So they've created this model. They've used a Terminator skeleton.
Okay.
Yeah, right. And they've developed a living skin made from fungus.
Oh,
right.
Well, now, technically, we are fungus.
I know. Yeah, that's true. Actually, yeah, I'd say we've got probably more related to a mushroom than anything else.
Yeah, well,
especially you. You're a fun guy.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, there you go. Well, this fungus, it could be the future of robotics. Now, the reason why I brought up that other thing is because I feel like they kind of do this. They kind of go, oh, yeah, we've done this technological advancement, but, well, here's a movie reference that makes you forget all about it. Yeah, right? Like, to make it sound fun and interesting, So the idea that they'd reconstructed the Pink Floyd song from Pulling Out Memories, that's kind of like what you'd focus on, because it's cool. But really, totally. What you could use that technology for is quite scary. Right,
torches.
So this is a similar thing because basically they're going, inspired by the movie The Terminator. Did
they actually see the end of the film?
I know, they didn't realise what happened in that film. Well, they've been inspired by it, and especially the skin element of this, like sort of living skin that is able to kind of put over robotics.
Yeah,
right?
But I wonder if we could use it. As the development goes on, we could possibly use it as like space suits.
Potentially, there's a lot of kind of potential for it. So researchers inspired by the 1984 film The Terminator have created a living skin from fungus. The skin can sense light touch and can even be used to, as a type of sensors for electronics. So it's like a biotech, biodegradable sensor. It's kind of like it's weird. It's scary technology, which they package in a way that's like, oh, check what we can do. It looks cool. We've put it on a Terminator. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm also thinking of, is it possible that there could be a connection between that and actually alien tech? Because there are a number of stories out there.
What, like organic technology?
About the technology of organic ships.
Well, we're getting there. I feel like this is the first step in that, where we're going to go from silicon-based chips to more organic.
Well, quantum mechanics was trying to bring out, working out that you actually needed human tissue and machinery, but in combining
in conjunction with each other.
To actually develop something.
Well, this is interesting because, like, they're saying that these electronic sensors can actually help detect things such as light, temperature, humidity, made from a silicon, but obviously it's more complex than that.
Oh, yeah.
And it's kind of like a cross between like a fungus and silicon. So, I mean, it's an interesting one that we might end up with cyborg robots that look very indistinguishable from humans. I mean, just as one thing, but obviously, like, the other implications being able to kind of use it in technology as well as, like, spacesuit technology, as well as a lot of things. There seems to be a lot of applications for it, but it's not a scary thing as such. But it
isn't as a method now, but it is the case of watch the end of the film.
Well, yeah, I just find like using, when we're getting into the realms of bio
diversity.
No, bio kind of like technology, like where we're using what could be considered as a life form, in our technology.
Does that mean it will have?
Is it alive? So basically, if this skin can sense light, touch, and temperature, humidity, all these different things, then is it not alive? Can it not be considered a life form?
Fungus is.
Well, yeah, it is, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
It's like billions.
So
of
is
together.
using, these types of kind of advancements, a step in the right direction, or is it a step in the direction of being able to integrate technology with people? Is it like that sort of idea?
Development, or it doesn't matter what it is. Development, R&D, anywhere. Will have the great energy to actually bring a lot of goodness to us in that, but it also will have the potential and which people will abuse
What, to people abuse it? Yeah.
It will give us a lot of...
I'm just worried that I'm just, I'm going to be in a club and try and, chatting up a woman, and then it turns out she's a robot. She just looks like a person because she's got fungus skin.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's going to be that
it might not be that far.
Maybe
it might happen one day. Yeah, I might meet a woman. One day. Anyway, I'm only joking. There's a lot of kind of weird sciencey stuff going on at the minute, and it seems to be quite scary stuff, like in a lot of ways. Where it goes and what they do with it is kind of anyone's guess. I feel like the application of being able to use, like you say, organic and technology in conjunction is a step in that sort of direction of being able to say, well, do you want a microchip implant in, or would you like a prosthetic, like a super legs or super this or super that, because they've got that material that they're able to graft technology
and I know
to organic matter.
I know, and this was years ago, there's at least 20,000 people out there who are registered, who have no issues with themselves. They are willing to have their leg chopped off and have an implant put
in. Like a bionic leg put on.
Yeah, there's
just to be a superhero, isn't it? That's all it is. They want to be superheroes.
Oh yeah. Well, talking about about the body, scientists have seem to have found a hybrid brain cell having been discovered hidden within inside our heads. In our heads, it looks like there's a new kind of cell that they've never seen before. That's actually in our brains. That? Well, it seems to be they were looking through the RNA, and they did a combination of like 9 structures, basically different like cells in the body, and they found that number 7 stood out. It was totally different from anything else, and it looks like it's like glue, and it's wrapped around our neurons in our hippocampus.
Okay.
The UK and Europe scientists, it surprised them, and they're now investigating more into it, because years ago they never found this kind of stuff, but all of a sudden now this kind of stuff is turned up. Now, with all the environmental and all the stuff that's been going on around the world for like 20, 30, 40, 50 years, is it a case that, like you were saying about last week, about in Florida where they were letting tons of mosquitoes out?
Yeah.
Now, is there a case that they've let something out and like it's going to affect everyone? It might be for the good, but it might be for the bad, because everyone's different.
It could just be something about, like, the fact
or is it aliens?
It could be aliens.
Yeah.
Well, it's always fucking aliens.
Through the brain.
Well, maybe, but I mean, it could also be a case of that it's just something that we weren't able to detect before.
Yeah.
Now, the fact that we don't use a good portion of our brain, and the secrets that we kind of like, we don't know about our brains and how our mind works and how kind of consciousness works.
Yeah.
Whether our consciousness exists outside the brain or what. It kind of, I had a feeling there'd be something there that they didn't understand or hadn't come across yet.
I think there's going to be a lot more of it.
So
it
just could be a case of that they weren't able to look as deeply as they can now. Yeah. And this is just kind of like something's opened up that's been able to discover this cell. Yeah.
Well, if you think about it, we never heard of RNA until like a couple of years ago anyway. So
there's always something new. There's always kind of like a new way of kind of like checking out the body. I mean, if you think about how kind of medicine's progressed in the last 100 years, before the birth of photography, people used to just cut bodies open and sketch it. And that would just be literally heart, lungs, guts, the visible stuff, right? The idea that there was microorganisms or micro cells.
That's sci-fi.
Exactly,
shit,
that was sci-fi shit 100 years ago, right? So, in terms of the technology catching up to the point where we can use that now to check like what's deeper, is opened up our eyes to what our bodies are about, what we can kind of achieve in sort of medical senses and scientific senses. But I believe in terms of like exploration of the oceans, the space, all of these things, we're still only scratching the surface about what actually is going on with us. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Because in terms of like
possibility, we would never find out the exact 100%. All of it.
Now, in terms of like kind of we understand the roadmap of the body to a certain extent, but there are still questions in terms of like the soul, you know, consciousness, those types of things that are still kind of a mystery. And, you know, it's a case of that, like, whether technology catches up to our understanding is probably going to happen, but it might take a bit of time. Do you know what I mean? It's like the idea of deja vu. Where does that come from? How we dream, and like what the, you know, things like that.
What they really actually mean, and can you change your dream and stuff like that?
Well, that's not exactly what I'm going into, but what I'm saying is it's like, you know, in terms of like the James Webb Telescope, you know, we send a telescope out into space, and we have the known universe, right? Yeah. And that known universe expands as further out as the telescope goes, right?
Yeah.
And that's only because we're able to redevelop the technology and send better technology out.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm getting at. In terms of like inner space, we have that inner space, right? Yeah. Where, like I say, 100 years ago it was pen and paper, pencil and paper, drawing heart, lungs, liver, and now we're looking deeper. Yeah. So in 100 years' time, what would we know about the human body that we don't know now?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think there's plenty of things that we've still yet to discover about ourselves. Never mind what's out in the cosmos and in the seas and everything else.
Totally.
I think this is just, again, something that will continue to find things like this.
Yeah.
You know, so again, I think we'll try and keep an eye on that one and see what they actually find out what it is and what it does.
Yeah, and can they explain it?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, maybe we should speak to Kira and DNA today.
I was actually thinking of that.
Probably the best person to ask.
I might keep that for next time we see her.
Ah, well, there you go. Did you hear about this in Russia?
No.
Well, this is a funny one. The Russians have hired a priest.
Oh.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, we need a priest.
Yeah.
It's all going shit. We need a priest. No,
for Putin.
Sorry, that was bless me.
Oh yeah.
No, they've hired a priest to train children in the art of operating aerial vehicles or UAVs.
Oh, young bobbers.
Oh yeah, little. It's like, I wonder why this priest's like, you know, he must have been a top pilot.
Yeah,
top drone pilot.
Yeah, it's a bit of a strange.
It's a strange one, isn't it? Yeah, but they've hired this priest to train children in the operation of unmanned aerial vehicles for combat. It's an after-school club, apparently.
So it's like a game to them. Well, really, they'd be in.
Of course, yeah, of course. I mean, this is it. It kind of takes them out the battlefield, but also kind of like, you know, they're utilising. It's almost like the Hitler Youth. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
That's how it kind of comes across, and it's like, you know, when you start hiring or start training children up to do military operations and military roles,
and then as soon as they leave school, they can go in the military. And they can actually do the fighting for him.
Exactly, but you're desensitised by that point.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? And this is a big problem. You shouldn't be kids should be kids. You shouldn't be introducing them to even in the sense that you're playing a game.
Yeah.
The reason why games like Call of Duty are over 18s is because kids should not have to kind of you know, comprehend that type of stuff.
There's a mental thing to it as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to cause problems down the line.
People
get
stressed over like, oh, right, he shot me, or this went wrong
God.
and that. And
the amount of
that's
TVs,
why I left it.
The amount of TVs that have got a hole in because a kid's thrown an Xbox pad at it. Then, you know, in a fit of rage or, you know, rage quit.
Exactly.
Like, then, yeah. So
and
imagine.
Kids aren't really kids nowadays anyway to what we used to have.
But the thing is, they are really good at it. Yeah, right? Yeah. Kids are very good at these games, right? So, for, you know, I'm assuming that these Russians are thinking, well, you know, they're going to be playing the games anyway. We may as well stick them in combat. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do believe that, you know, kids should be kids. They should not be introduced to any sort of, like, combat violence, even at an arm's length. You know what I mean? Even at a remote location where you know, because it's interesting because I was reading an article it was quite a while ago. I think it was during the Iraq War, right?
And that was a while ago.
They were talking about UAV pilots, right? And even though that they were operating them from bases miles and miles and miles away, right? They were still getting PTSD, right?
Yes.
So they were going home to the wife and stuff at the end of the day after blowing up fucking villages, and killing civilians. They'd be going home to the wife at the end of the day, like, you know, feeling a bit stressed. Yeah. And it's like, well, you've got PTSD, right? You're fucking putting yourself through mental anguish on a daily basis.
I can't remember, but there is a film out that actually is in a day operation of doing that. And you can actually see where the actual pilot's like hesitation. They've been told to fire the missile, and they're in two different minds. Should they?
Well,
and then
on an ethical way, exactly.
standards.
Well, no, this is your job. You've been hired by the US Army to do this. But at the end of the day, it's like the problem was with the PTSD thing was that basically it wasn't taken on as a thing because they were like they're not even in combat. You know, they're in an office. Yeah.
Well, let's get it right.
And it's like they're still involved. They're
Yeah.
still fucking causing damage or causing
it's mental health
involved.
big time.
It does affect your mental health.
Yeah.
So there was a bit of an uproar in the case that to say that these people were traumatized by it. And they need some sort of recovery. Same as soldiers do.
Yeah.
So putting children into that position.
It's a lot more.
It's a very dangerous thing. Yeah. So I mean, I think Russia should really need to kind of fucking reevaluate what they're doing. To be honest, but I mean, at the end of the day, the way that they'd argue that is it's all fair in fucking war. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's the way they seem to be operating. Do you know what I mean?
Well, let's be honest. There are a lot of soldier children out there as well. And they haven't been able to stop that.
That's funny actually, because I do have this other story about a 10-year-old in Arizona.
Oh right, go on.
So a 10-year-old led Arizona troopers on a chase.
Oh right.
Yeah, car chase. While his father was sat in the passenger seat.
Huh?
I don't know what was up with his dad. I mean, obviously he's probably pissed.
But yeah.
The fact that they basically, like this kid led the police on a police chase. I mean, the kid was probably loving it. Thought it was Grand Theft Auto. I think computer games have got a lot to answer for. I never thought I'd ever hear myself say that.
I've heard of a few kids who've done exactly the same thing, and it's like, you know what, it could have been a hell of a lot more dangerous. I mean, they might have been, and it's just not been reported as much.
True.
But not all games are like that. This is the thing, and it's
I wouldn't condemn computer games, but exactly, I think
like
in
Modern
terms
Warfare, you've got that mental thing of like, I've got to keep going on. I've got to do it. So it's like pressure on you constantly, and people like people I know who's played it, like, you know, everyone I know's been frustrated of it and like left it for a little bit and all that, and I ended up going,
this is the thing, right? I can't remember what I was watching actually, but the line was, there was a kid talking to a guy about war, right? And he was saying, like, you've seen action. He was like, I did 2 terms in Afghanistan and all this, and he said, did you kill anyone? And he went, look, it's not the sort of thing you talk about. I didn't count how many bodies I've created. And the kid just went, I would have totally be counting. Do you know what I mean? Because that's the
desensitized.
The desensitized. It's like the idea that, your average soldier, it's like not something that they take pride in. Yeah.
The last thing they want is to shoot the weapon.
Yeah, exactly. But these computer games, the whole point is to get a KD. Yeah. You want a kill to death ratio. So it's like, or it's a tally of how many people. It's almost like a badge of honor by saying, look, I got 10 kills.
Training the soldiers for tomorrow.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, there you go.
Quick and easy.
It's a sick situation. Can't deny it.
No.
Have you seen anything else in the news?
Actually, scientists are confused over a golden dome shape object was discovered.
A golden dome?
Yeah.
The golden buzzer? Was it in Simon Cowell's hand?
It's like a little animal. It's like a little animal that they discovered in the Gulf of Alaska.
Oh, well, the Gulf of Alaska?
During a NOAA expedition.
Right.
And after bringing it up, after finding it on the sea floor, scientists still have no idea what it is, where it's come from, what it does. They have nothing and no idea. It's like a brand new kind of creature if it's not alien.
Have they named it?
They haven't named it at the moment. I think
Flubber.
the only name is the golden dome shape.
The golden dome?
Yeah.
I need to see this golden dome.
Yeah.
I'll try and post a picture if we can find a picture of it. Yeah.
Browner and collapsed. Basically, it looks something like
That's
that.
like gold or a dome?
Well, yeah. Well, when I looked at it looked more brownish. They're calling it gold.
The brown turd.
It might have a flicker, though, within its skin cells.
Ah, right, yeah. Like
an
iridescence.
Yeah. So
and actually, underwater, it might have looked golden.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly,
Totally.
Yeah. And when they brought it to the surface, obviously, it's different.
Yeah, went a bit crusty.
Yeah. It dried out.
And went a bit brown. Well, that's interesting. Surely we're trying to find a picture of that and get that posted up.
Yeah.
Anything else that's piqued your interest this week?
One more. I've got. There was an auction this week from the government.
What were they selling?
Wind turbines.
Well, you could have your own wind turbine.
Wind farms in our winter. Now, no one has actually bought any.
So it's a bit of a silly auction, isn't it? You're going to drive. You too could drive yourself away with a fresh wind turbine.
They did it at a lower price than it should have been. Basically,
were they trying to find investments? Basically, they want to put wind turbines up. So they're basically saying, who wants to buy a wind turbine? You can say, we own a wind turbine as part of our ethical,
and then they put the money in and pay the government. Then they get all the equipment and the legal using the scientific.
It's basically a badge of honor, isn't it? It's something that they could turn around and say, look, we do stuff for the environment.
Yeah. And it has not worked, and it got told months ago
that it wasn't going to work.
It won't go work.
I mean, how much were they asking for a wind turbine?
Well, I don't know exact prices because there'd be all difference because it's
like a fucking used car salesman, are you? Like you'd be like, all right, mate, I can't give you an exact price, but do you want the added extras, airbags, all that stuff, stereo,
helicopter,
sunroof?
Take you out there.
You need a helicopter to take you up to check out your blades.
But it does mean that we lose. We need to pay an extra £1 billion in per year, which means it's not a lot per person. It's roughly in tens.
Well, why don't the government just keep them and say, look, we're dead ethical here. We've got loads of wind turbines.
It's going to go up a lot more in the price. That's the problem with it. So we need to sell it, but they need to sell it at at the right price so people will actually come in and go, yeah, we'll buy that. We'll buy that. We'll put the wind turbines out there. We'll look after them for like 10 years or whatever.
The thing is, the companies don't need to do that to seem like, like they're doing their bit, because all they have to say is, we plant so many trees, and that's still going to be cheaper than buying a wind turbine.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So they probably got things in place, but obviously, we need the energy. So, I mean, it's one of those situations where...
It's going to have to be reviewed, really, and they're going to have to go out.
I thought they'd just get that cold fusion nailed. I thought they'd done it.
Well, we're right on the cusp of it, but a couple China is as well, but we're ahead of the game, but... I think we're gonna hit the mark within the next 5 years. I'd say easily within the next 5 years.
Fair enough.
Hopefully.
Talking about things for sale. The government basically this is the US government. They've got a bridge to sell you if you want it, or give you if you can't sell it.
Hey?
Yeah. Well, this is a state that's trying to find a home for a historic structure, but you know what I mean.
Just knock it down.
Well, it's like historic, yeah.
Right.
But if you're looking for a bridge,
it's a nice one.
Iowa has one for you, because they've got a 128-foot bridge, which is basically a Warren Pony Truss from 1912, right?
Ooh.
And if it's not your style, you can get yourself a 183-foot trapezoid.
Oh.
Yeah, instead, from 1892 over in Oklahoma. So we've got Iowa giving away a bridge, the way Warren Pony Truss, as well as the Pratt Through Truss.
Are they going to deliver it, or do I have to go out there? And
I don't know. You probably have to dig it up, or
so
like take it down.
Money for it,
don't forget your Allen keys.
Oh yeah,
because I can imagine that's got loads of Allen keys. I don't even know if you do, what size they take, but I'm guarantee
TNT more than anything.
You need some sort of toolbox.
Yeah.
The idea that they're giving these away. It's just to try and get rid of it. It's a lot of scrap metal, I suppose, and taking it down will probably cost a lot.
Yeah, I think that'd be. I think that's the reason why, and it gets someone who can actually afford to bring it down and put it somewhere. And I suppose if they're historic, because they are old and they are still standing, there'd be someone who. That's how you shit.
Well, no. Well, chances are, state departments of transportation have a few historic bridges just knocking around, and they're probably happy to turn them over to you if you're asked, to be honest, just to get them out of the way.
Buy one, not buy one, to actually make one.
Build a bridge. Why would you? They've got a ready-made bridge.
Yeah.
You want to truss?
Yeah, but then you've got to cut that down, bring it over, so you're going to need like boats, a lot of men, a lot of equipment, so you're going to spend, let's say you spunk about $2 million.
No. So when replacing a bridge, transportation agencies that often tear down the old one, but the bridge is listed or enabled to be listed, like sold on.
Yeah.
It's on the National Registry of Historic Places or whatever. So it's a federal law that they cannot dismantle them. They're not allowed to ruin them. Yeah. So even if it's disrepaired, it's like, it's a bridge that's historical, but it's not safe anymore.
Yeah.
They're not allowed to destroy it. It's a listed item. It's like being in a listed building.
So a bridge fan's best off buying it.
Basically, yeah. So it's not even buy it, they will give you it. Yeah. Right. So if you are looking for a bridge
and you're a millionaire,
you don't need to be a millionaire.
Why? Because you'll need the property to put it in.
Well, you would need somewhere to put it.
And possibly move it.
That's true. They might deliver it.
Yeah.
I'd ask for free delivery. I'd say I've got Amazon Prime.
If you got free delivery, we'll take it. Over here.
Yeah. I want it, in my garden.
And then plug it on.
Basically, they're usually on the Registry for Historical Places, and it's a federal law requires them to first make the effort to preserve it. If a company or agency, can't, then they need to replace the bridge, then that's
Can it leave the country as well? That's another question.
Not sure, because again, like historical...
It's under federal law, then once it leaves the country, then it's not under federal law and we can destroy it.
Well, yeah, in some cases, they retire them to train networks and kind of golf courses and stuff like that, just to kind of get them... used, basically, to either put them somewhere as a feature. Do you know what I mean? So you might find like somewhere like a Disneyland or somewhere with a lot of space.
Yeah.
That doing a bit of renovation work or trying to create an atmosphere of oldie worldy times.
That's actually a good idea.
They'd probably take these types of places. Would probably take them, but it's an interesting one though, isn't it? You never think what did he do with bridges when they've finished with them.
True.
And there you go.
You don't just destroy them.
Well, it's actually well, fucking hell, this one. They've got like a $1 trillion infrastructure in terms of like bridge renovation and stuff. So it's really difficult to kind of like store these things if they need to.
Well, you need a lot of room, don't you?
So yeah, if you're in Iowa or Oklahoma and you need a bridge, you know where to go.
Yeah.
Have you seen anything else you'd like to talk about?
I've only got NASA now.
Have you? Well, I've still got a couple of stories here.
Go for it.
Talking about historical structures. Yeah. I've got a story here about China's Great Wall.
Oh yeah.
So obviously, wonder of the world.
Great, is it?
What?
Is it still great?
Yeah, but they're giving it away if anyone wants to pick it up.
Oh, right,
no, I'm joking.
Builders.
So, it's like if you ever need some stone.
Yeah, come and see us.
Come and see us. We got loads of it. Basically, China's Great Wall's been damaged.
Oh, no.
Yeah, this is by workers who basically were looking for a shortcut.
Fuck off.
They didn't want to walk round the wall.
It's a long journey to go.
Seriously, I'm not even joking. They've literally tore a hole through the wall. Yeah, right.
Legally or illegally?
Illegally, right. So local police say that 2 people excavated a big gap.
Only 2?
2 people, yeah. What they've done is they've driven a road through the Great Wall of China.
Fucking hell.
So this is basically, they've excavated a cavity in the ancient Great Wall. It's fucking ridiculous, to be honest. I mean, did they not know that this was like a historical landmark?
Well, if they didn't, where the fuck had they been?
It was like, well, we need to drive a road through here.
I can understand.
How am I supposed to get my Humvee through here now?
I can understand the reason, but I can't believe that they didn't get permission to do it, and they shouldn't have done it. And it's also structurally, that's going to be hard as well. Mm-hmm. And it's two people who've done it.
Well, just smashing a wall down, really, isn't it? But
but you've got to consider the hell of a lot of weight above as well. And
no, not necessarily, because some parts of the wall are a lot more heavy duty than others.
Yeah.
You'll find that certain parts of the Great Wall of China are they're big, but they're not as big as kind of like, you know, the more impressive.
And there's going to be some structural holes, I should imagine. So they could have gone, well, there's a little bit of a gap here. We'll make it a bit bigger. Get a wagon through.
That's what they've done, exactly. Yeah. So, but they've literally blew a big hole through the Great Wall of China. Well, they drew something through it. There's a road now going through the Great Wall of China. Okay. Police say 2 people are suspected of being involved. 2 have been detained. They think there's a man and a woman. Right. So, yeah, the 38-year-old man and a 55-year-old woman were working nearby the area. And
they've been copped for it.
So, yeah, basically. Apparently. They dug a big gap by widening an existing cavity. Yeah. So there was literally like a little cavity, and they've just gone through it, basically. Yeah. I think it's fucking horrific. You know what I mean? It's like these are things that are our heritage, our kind of like culture. Yeah. Not our culture, but world culture.
Well, one of the 5 things, one of the 8
wonders of the world. Yeah, and seen from space. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, come on, it's not exactly the sort of thing that you just kind of like you're knocking down a fucking conservatory. Or whatever. Exactly. But this is basically.
What charges are going to get and how long?
Oh, fucking hell! I'd be interested to see that actually.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to check out and see any information comes out over the next couple of months.
Yeah, we'll definitely keep an eye on it. Yeah. I mean, like I say, there's certain areas of the wall that are really quite impressive and multi-layered, really thick. Yeah. But there's further out you go, there are more kind of like more weaker points of the wall, and I'm assuming that this was one of those.
Isn't it, which magician? There was a magician who went through
Copperfield.
Copperfield, that's it. Yeah, I wonder if he found it was the gap that he crawled through.
Maybe, that's what it was, actually.
Maybe worked out what it was.
It could have been. You never know.
Yeah.
Oh, God, we've got a lot of my stories keep missing. Wow. 1 second. It's all right.
What do we
Right, okay. So... oh God, what was up? Yes, this is a weird one.
All right.
Right, before we get into NASA news.
Yeah.
Because, God, we're running out of time already. Oh, one chip challenges.
Huh?
Have you heard of these?
One chip challenge? No.
So basically, it's like a Dorito, like a tortilla chip.
Right.
Yeah. Social media people are doing these challenges where they'll get a tortilla chip that is so spicy that it is literally impossible to eat. They call it a challenge, to eat. And they'll do these on live streams and stuff like that. But the idea of creating a hotter chip that can beat the next one, or it's the hottest thing you'll ever eat, is kind of like rife. But this is related to a Massachusetts teenager after basically died.
Whoa.
Yeah. His family said that he'd ate an extremely spicy tortilla chip, and it had led to an outpouring of concerns on social media related to the challenges that obviously people do. Yeah. And obviously worried for people's safety. So this happened a week after, so the incident happened a week before September the 1st. So obviously, this is quite recent that this lad's basically passed away.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago,
I'm just wondering what the actual link between the chip and the death was. I mean, was it kind of like
that he had an
underlying health condition?
Yeah.
But obviously, it was like it must have been like some extra hot thing. But obviously, he's he
drowned himself by drinking so much water.
I've no idea, but basically people have been weighing in about their own experiences with this sort of chip.
All right.
Said that they cost around $10 and come individually wrapped in a foil or in a coffin-shaped box.
Oh, well, that gives you a fucking
it gives you an idea of what you're dealing with. It's not a pleasurable thing to eat. I just don't understand why you would want to eat something like that in the first place. I think it is just bravado and being a challenge.
Yeah.
Now, mate, I've eaten a chili pepper that has blown my head off. Yeah. And that's just a natural thing. It's a vegetable. Yeah, right? Yeah. And it's blown my head off, made me fucking gasp, drink milk, all the rest of it. But when you're raising the bar to try and impress people, get followers, get fans. Now, it's interesting because, like, you know, there's a lot of these kind of weird food stuffs coming out for this reason. Yeah, right? Now, I thought there was supposed to be more regulation in our food and consumption and stuff like this. So making an item like a chip that is just like literally chemically based poison, well, it needs to be fucking taken off the shelf, really, doesn't it?
Well, hopefully it will now because of the death, and it has to take a death for something like this.
It's funny though because I mean, thinking about the dates here, I saw somebody the other day on social media bragging that they were gonna, if they got so many followers or points or whatever prizes, that they would eat one of these chips. Right. Now, knowing this story, I can see why they were kind of like, you know, so
pushed into it, sort of.
Well, not necessarily pushed into it, because despite the warnings, children have still got no problem in buying these chips, and showing off to the mates, because it's like, I'm hard, I can do what you know, I can, I'm indestructible sort of attitude as a child, as a youngster. But obviously, you know, you never know if you do have underlying problems or not.
Well,
until it's too late. So, you know, I do urge people to just to be careful when you're eating or consuming anything that's just not even taste nice. It's just like an extreme thing.
Or even eat it.
You know, just be careful out there. They really should be pulling them off the shelves, but people are still buying them, so just be careful. Just be more fucking like sensible with yourself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, I've got one more story before we move into NASA news. This is a funny one. Police rush to reports of a rural mass murder. Ritual mass murder. I've took my glasses off, haven't I? But guess what it turned out to be?
What?
A yoga class. So there was, I think they must have thought it was some sort of cult activity.
But the screaming and
when
was it?
When a yoga teacher turned out the lights towards the end of the day, basically there was a big kick-off when police showed up, believing that there was a mass ritual suicide happening.
So possibly someone had been watching it, and then all of a sudden the lights went on and went, oh shit, they've killed themselves. Right, called the police.
Something like that. But basically they were responding to a call from a member of the public that was worried that there was a mass killing in a studios in a small English coastal resort.
Well, it could have been. It was looking at the nosy person did actually ring, because if it was, then it'd be a different situation.
They were doing a bit of yoga, namaste.
Yeah,
they weren't exactly like doing much, but I think this is the problem with, like, you know when we've covered cults in the past, and when people don't understand, and they see them all saluting the sun and doing all this weird stuff, and doing all these poses, that they might think there's something a bit weird going on, especially if they don't know what yoga is, which if you don't know what yoga is by now, then where have you been? Living under a rock? Do you know what I mean? But the idea that this guy's gone, I think he might have been like trolling the police. Like, he knew full well what was going on, but he thought, I know, this will be a bit disruptive. Do you know what I mean? They've gone in all guns blazing, and they're all like, namaste, would you like some cucumber water? Like, you know what I mean?
Hey, not only that, they could possibly put a claim in for it as well now.
Maybe.
Yeah. It might be someone who's trying to make a money maker.
Shaking your money maker. Yeah. Well, they might have been yoga prices.
Well, yeah, true.
Anyway, have you got some NASA news for me?
I have. Well, NASA may have unknowingly found and killed alien life on Mars 50 years ago. Scientists are claiming.
Wait a minute. He came at us with a gun. It wasn't our fault, officer.
No.
He had a ray gun, I swear. So he was going to kill me, so I shot him.
With my spaceship.
But he was the only one of his species.
Yeah.
But we stole his vehicle.
Well, one researcher hypothesized that experiments created out by NASA with the Viking landing in 1976 could have
Disputable.
Killed microbes living in the ground, rocks.
Yeah, but
other scientists are
I'm skeptical because basically, right, if microbes are on the planet, they're on the planet. Yeah, right. It's like us saying, "Oh, right, yeah, I'm gonna park my car over there, yeah," and then going, "Oh shit, I've just parked my car on the only microbes on planet Earth." Yeah, it's not possible. Yeah, if there's microbes on Mars, they're still there. Trust me.
No, but
they just happened to land on the only spot on Mars that happened to have life.
I
Bullshit.
sort of do agree that that the possibility is there, and that I did have that kind of and still have that kind of theory. Yeah, because look, you're hitting another planet. You don't know what we've only been on this planet and the moon. You know what I mean? And if something was living there and we actually accidentally did something, even the metal or the equipment that's looking,
say if they
destroyed the hell of a lot of the environment.
All it takes is for one of the scientists to sneeze on one of the pieces of equipment, and then that microbes destroys everything. So potentially there is the potential for that. I can agree with that.
But this only comes from one researcher, but a lot of others are skeptical. So I think myself, it's probably in between. We probably have done some damage, but we haven't done enough damage to actually destroy, the fucking planet.
Well, maybe we added life.
We
might get up there and find ourselves.
We'll
get up there and go, oh, we found a microbe. Oh, wait, it's one of ours.
Yeah, and
because it's spread.
And not only that, when the first lot of stuff come back from like the moon, we actually had a little case of we didn't do our keep the cleanness as clean as it should have been.
Well, we didn't back in the day. No, not in the 70s and 80s.
So we could have already infected our environment with space
junk.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Microbes, yeah.
Well, did you know that it was the 60th anniversary of the first cat to be launched into space?
I did, yes.
Yeah, a little small black and white Persian stray.
Yes.
Felicity, she was called. Flew on a French rocket. Did she ever make it back?
Yes, she did.
I hope so. She's a cute little cat.
There was actually a total...
And I know she's a stray, but it doesn't mean anything. Do you know what I mean?
There was actually a total of 14 cats that went up. They were all named C341.
Dude, this one was called Felicity.
Apart from that one, they didn't actually want to name him because he didn't want to
in case he didn't come back.
Yeah, Well, they did get fired quite far out of the Earth's orbit for testing for, that humans could live there. It happened in 18th of October, 1963. And
I can't even get my cat in the cat box. Never mind in a rocket. Do you know what I mean?
But Russians
strap you in
dogs, and the US preferred monkeys to do the testing.
That's true. That because we've talked about both in the past.
We have. Yes.
Well, this happened in October 1963 when researchers attempted an altitude of 154 kilometres, taking her to a place no feline has ever been before.
Yeah.
You've got to admire these, people who, we're standing on the shoulders of kitty cats.
Yeah, but then it still comes under as animal experiments if you think about it. If it all went wrong.
But then,
true. You know what I mean? So.
But and again, it's like astronauts and people, human beings have a say. They choose to do these things, whereas animals not so much. So sending any animal, even though it's cute and it survived, right, it's still a kind of like, it is animal cruelty in a lot of ways. So you've got to kind of watch that. But then
again, which would you prefer? Would you prefer a cat going up and down or a human going up and down?
Because at least at the end of the day, a human can... It's their choice, right? They signed to go up there, No animal signed to go up there.
Yeah.
For all I know, these dogs floating around in space now from Russia Do you know what I mean? Like, probably fucking hungry.
There is astronauts. So.
No, there's astronauts, cosmonauts. Yeah, there's definitely cosmonauts.
Yeah.
But again, they made that choice. Yeah, right. They've got free will. If they didn't want to go, they could have said no. Yeah. True. That cat has got no say. Yeah. Oh, the monkey has no say.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
totally. Yeah.
Well, there you go. And we got one last story. NASA scientists are attempting to drop a payload from a long way.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Right?
Yes.
So basically, NASA scientists are waiting the OSIRIS-REx spacecraft to return from a great mission it's been on. The crewless spacecraft has travelled 4.4 billion miles through space.
Secret mission, eh?
It's collected samples and stuff like that, but basically it's attempting now to deliver them back to Earth.
Yeah.
In a bit of a cool way, right? So basically what they're going to do is they're going to do a flyby with the spacecraft. Yeah. It's going to get close to Earth, and then a team will attempt to bring the samples down by dropping the capsule 63,000 miles to the planet and then intercepting it.
It's like a bombardment, isn't it? It's like, right, let's just drop.
I'm wondering how big the crater's going to be, but the ground target's just 250 square miles. Which is quite a lot away. It's basically in the deserts of Utah. So, you know.
I would have thought the water they would have...
well, I don't know. Impact in water is just as hard as impact on land.
True, but then you could have something like, spike in front of it to actually break the water tension. So they
would have needed to put that on before they sent it up. So, I mean, that's like one of those in hindsight things. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
Maybe this is something that they never actually thought could be a possibility. And now with all this kind of, the way that we operate spacecraft now, it's all remote, isn't it? So we're attempting a lot of crazy stuff like, being able to send a rocket up and then retrieve it and have it land back on the platform is a major achievement.
Yeah.
So the idea of being able to kind of like intercept something from space, they would have probably thought that Osiris would have had to land to get those bits, but they've decided to kind of just do an interception so they don't have to send it back up. It can carry on its missions.
Yeah.
Carry on collecting more stuff and seeing more things.
It's unmanned, but the thing, because it come down about 3 years ago, and to sort out some of the compute system out and that. But it's interesting that it went on a mission and it hasn't come out until now. And what kind of mission was it?
Well,
we
true.
Still don't know what mission.
Well, they're dropping a meteorite that they've collected, but they're saying that the whole endeavour is going to be the equivalent of throwing a dart across the length of a baseball court.
Okay, no.
Yeah, a basketball court. Sorry, and hitting the bullseye.
That's not too bad, really.
Well, you got to have a good arm on you to throw a dart across the length of a basketball pitch and hit the bullseye. Yeah,
and then there's other stuff that they can't even control, like wind and weather and stuff. I mean, for all we know, they do it, and then a tornado fucking hits, and it throws it
20 miles away. Yeah, exactly. We're never getting it back then.
Yeah,
they're going, we found this meteorite. It's very nice.
Yeah, it's ours.
You can have it back for no money. You're keeping it. Anyway, well, that's my news. I think that's everything, isn't it?
That is everything, I believe.
It's been an interesting show. I think what your whole thing about this is it's always aliens.
Well, it's not always aliens.
90% aliens all the time.
But there is always that possibility.
Well, I'm not saying it's aliens, but it's aliens. Right.
Yeah, so, it's aliens.
I don't think we've said that quote on this show for a very long time.
No.
But I'm not saying it's not aliens, but it's totally aliens, right? It is. Well, if you think it's aliens or potentially something else, get in touch because we'd love to hear from you. We're moving into the autumn months now as well, so we're going to be coming up with some more...
Summer's over now.
Well, summer's over. We're going to be coming with some more paranormal topics coming forward in the next couple of weeks. So make sure you get geared up for that.
You're laughing tackle around it.
Oh, my days. Well... It's an interesting... I love it. I love this sort of stuff. Well, you know me. I'm down with the paranormal, so it gets me excited.
Totally,
so, we'll be gearing up for that over the coming weeks.
Big ones to come up now.
So, if you've got any questions about tonight's episode, feel free to drop us a message. We're available on all social media platforms. Or you can email us at neverastraightanswer or neverastraightanswer sorry, I keep fucking up the new email address. You can email us at neverastraightanswer@outlook.com.
Or you can go to our website, and we've got
a contact page
there. Yeah,
that's true. That look at you getting all professional.
Yeah.
We do have contact page on the website. Do check out the website because we're always updating it.
Yeah. We've also got episodes.
We said paw, and I've totally missed a story which I do need to say.
Go on, drop it.
Quick little announcement here. Yeah. There was Lidl have had to recall their Paw Patrol snacks. Because the website address on the packaging actually takes kids to a porn site. So Lidl have had to recall all of those products.
How the fuck's it happened?
Have a Google, you'll find more information about that. I know, I can't believe I forgot to... someone's getting fired.
Yeah, someone's done that.
Well, definitely, but obviously it's supposed to have been an interactive game, and kids would be kind of like, I want to go and Paw Patrol.
Yeah.
And it's not
well,
as
imagine how many kids who've actually had it and not actually said anything either.
I don't know, well, it's like, I'd be quite interested to find out what that website address is.
And who's getting charged.
But... sorry about that. Just dropped that one in. We'll be back next week.
We will.
For another exciting episode, so hopefully we'll see you there. If you've got any comments, queries or suggestions, drop us a message. And, we're available on all podcast platforms.
We are indeed.
Social media.
Yes.
And we'll be back next week. So I've been Gaz.
I've been Taylor.
We'll catch you next time. Peace.
Outer space.